Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a quick video to teach you how to do peas and grow peas in Farming Simulator 25. This is one of the new crops to the game, so a lot of you probably have some questions about how to do it. And it's really pretty simple, but we'll cover it all in this video here. So first off, this does cover all platforms. So if you're playing on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC, this does cover it. There are also time codes below on the YouTube slider bar for you to be able to choose a specific category if you're looking for something like that, or if you know some things but had questions about other things. We will cover a lot of different things in this video. We'll cover field prep, planting peas, caring for peas, harvesting peas, and what to do with the peas after you harvest them. And also too, if there's anything specific that has changed or I critically missed in here, it'll be in the first pinned comment down below. Hopefully I don't miss anything, but just in case I do, that's where you should check. And I also do talk a little fast, so if you need to, you can also slow down the video down below using the YouTube controls for the video. So just be aware of that as well. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So first off, we need to worry about field prep. And I should also note too, as we're getting into this, most of this is going to be similar to spinach and green beans. So if you watch those videos, there's only a few things that have changed. I still think that you'll learn a lot from watching all the videos, but just be aware of that. They're going to be very similar in terms of some of the things, but they do change a little bit at different aspects of it. So anyhow, field prep. I also want to note too that everything we are going to do can be done by the AI worker on your field. So all the different things you need to do in field prep and all the other stages can be done by AI workers. So just be aware of that. First thing we need to talk about is plowing and or cultivating. So this field's already set to go, but if it wasn't set to go, let's say you had another crop on here and you harvested it and it was in a harvested state and you needed to do something to prep it for seeding, what would you do? Well, first off, if you need to plow it, you need to take care of that. So if we go to the menu and we go over to soil composition, we'll turn everything off. If it has need plowing on, so if you see this red highlight, this is our field right here, but if you see that red highlight over the field, you need to make sure you use a plow, subsoiler, or spader on it. If we go into the store, we can scroll down here to soil cultivation. If you use a plow, a subsoiler, or a spader, that'll take care of that plowing requirement. If that is not required, you can do any one of these to go ahead and get the field prep done. You can do plows, cultivators, disc harrows, power harrows, subsoilers, or spaders. You can use any one of those on the field to get it ready to plant. You also don't have to do this step if plowing is not required and you have a direct drill seeder, which I'll talk about that when it comes to planting. If you go down here to, well, I'm sorry, go down here to your game settings. If you have periodic plowing turned on, like I do here, you need to make sure you take care of that. I'd also recommend having crop destruction turned off as well. Now, the next two things we're going to talk about when it comes to field prep are fieldstone and lime required. If you have lime required and fieldstone on, I'm going to turn it on just for the sake of argument here. If you have these on, you do need to address them, so just be aware of that. Now, if we hop out here, we'll talk about that. After you plow or cultivate, you may have some stones start to pop up. You can tell by in here, you'll have the our stones icon here. The yellow represents small stones, then we have medium, and we have large stones. Now, there are other ways to deal with the stones. You can use a roller to push the small stones back into the dirt, or you can just use a stone picker to pick up all different types of stones. And if we go into our store here, this is going to be what you're going to use to pick up the stones. Now, if you don't pick up the stones, it's not going to affect your yield. It'll just give a little bit of extra damage to your equipment as it's working on the field. So it's not necessarily a required step, but I would encourage you to take care of the stones if they're on your field. The other thing we need to do is lime the field if needed. So if it has this kind of, I don't know, greenish blue color over it, which our field does not require lime right now, but if it does, you need to use a lime spreader to spread lime on it. The lime spreader is found in here under yield improvements. You go to fertilizer spreaders, and this is the only one in base game that is going to be able to do lime. And again, everything I'm going to talk about is going to be for the base game. There's not any mods or anything that I have installed, so just be aware of that. That's how you take care of the lime. But once all that's done, we can now move on to seeding. So peas are planted with just your regular seeder, which is really nice actually. And I have one just over here set good to go, but I'll show you in the store. And as we're looking at seeders, there's a couple things we need to consider. This one here is actually a direct drill. Now you can plant, if I plowed the field or did whatever, I can still use this seeder obviously as well. But if I didn't and it was in a harvested state and I wanted to skip that because plowing wasn't required, I could use a direct drill. Now, how do you tell if it's a direct drill or not? You need one of these seeders first off. So anything in this category will plant peas. You can see the icon down here at the bottom. Now, you need to know if it's a direct drill. Let's look at the one we have, for example. It'll say this. Additionally, this seeder offers the possibility to seed directly. That's down here on the bottom left-hand side. If it says that, that means it's a direct drill seeder. The other thing to consider is if the seeder can put fertilizer down, which this one can. So some of these seeders will only just do seeds, and some will do seed and fertilizer. If you have one that does fertilizer as well, it'll put down your first state of fertilizer while you're seeding the crop, which is super helpful. So once you buy the seeder, you're going to need to put seeds and fertilizer in it. I'm next to a pallet of seeds right here, so I can hit R and they'll start loading up. The seeds are found very simply in the store. You can buy any of these will work. And if you need to buy fertilizer for your cedar, down here under consumables under the yield improvement section, you'll be able to find solid fertilizer in a couple of different forms in here. So you can get that done. We have some seeds in there now, and now we just need to drive over to the fertilizer here, which, let's see if I can actually get a corner. Am I close enough? Yep, I hit R and I'm able to refill it, so we'll get that loaded up in there. And once that's all set, you can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner, it's currently set to plant wheat. We want to change that over to peas by hitting Y. I'll put the commands up in the upper left-hand corner so you can see. So I'll switch that over. Barley, oats, canola, long grain rice, oilseed radish, grass, and there's peas. Perfect. Next thing I'm going to do is unfold the seeder, so that way it is ready to work. That is X on PC. Again, I'm on PC, but all of this will work for all platforms. And then we just need to go over to the field. Once our seeder is unfolded, we have seed fertilizer if needed. We need to hit V to lower it, and then hit B to turn it on. And then as we start driving over the field, you will see that we are now planting. And again, you can hire a worker to do this as well. And there you go. So a couple things to note in here. We'll see that as we plant, actually it's not putting down fertilizer right now. Go figure, it doesn't seem to be working right now. I have had some issues getting this specific seeder to put down some fertilizer, so that could just be something wrong with this specific seeder that will get patched out. But in general, it should put fertilizer down. But if not, no big deal, we'll deal with that. You can see it's not actually using any of the fertilizer, to be fair, as well, but it should be putting it down as it's going. This one just seems to be bugged for whatever reason. So again, I'm on an early access version of the game, so there'll be a patch day 1 to hopefully fix a lot of these issues. But anyhow, we're just going to go across the field and we're going to get it all seeded, and I'll bring you back in after we have that done. All right, I'm finishing up the seeding now, and I wanted to note that I wasn't crazy. This seeder's just not working. I bought that one over there as well to test it out, and you can see it should have left a layer of fertilizer on there just like that. Now I'll lift that up and turn this off. Now the next thing we need to move on to is field care. So one of the things we need to do is fertilize this crop twice. Now since this seeder, for whatever reason, didn't put down any fertilizer, before we skip ahead to the next month, we can go ahead and put down our first layer of fertilizer. We can use solid fertilizer, which is what I'm going to use, or we could use liquid fertilizer, manure, slurry, or digestate. And I'll show you those in the store in a second. And as we go over this, this should now add a layer of fertilizer over it. Now, it usually won't add a second layer over that, like that. That's a little bit of a glitch there. Typically, you can't get it to put a layer right over after you seed it, and that's why you can see that even though this area here does have fertilizer, the reason this one is allowing me to put a second layer of fertilizer over it is because I seeded over it after I put down this seeded layer of fertilizer. So typically, it won't do that. I, again, have just kind of created a disaster on this field with my seeder failing right off the bat. But don't expect it to let you put a layer down with your seeder and then another layer immediately after that. It just won't work. So after we get a layer of fertilizer on here, we need to skip forward a month, and we'll talk more about what we need to do with field care from there. But next month, we should be able to add our final layer of fertilizer to this to make sure we get the best yield possible. This, again, is not technically required, but you're going to want to do it to make sure you actually get a good yield off of your field. So what we're going to do it is we're just going to go ahead and skip forward a day, and then I'll bring you guys back in. All right, we have skipped forward a day. Now we can throw down some fertilizer, and you can see we also have some weeds that have popped up, which I will talk about how to deal with those here in just a second. But first, we need to get some fertilizer down on here. And if we go into the menu here, you can see we're having our second layer, which is that dark layer. So that's 1 layer of fertilizer. This is 2 if you have that nice dark blue, which is what we are looking for. So we want to make sure we get that nice dark blue across the whole field. And you can see I am fertilizing the field next to us a little bit since I own it, but that's okay. Don't need to worry about that. We're worried about this field. Now, when it comes to fertilizer, I did say I would show you the different things in the store that you can use to fertilize, and I will do that here in just a second. Let's go ahead and turn this off. So in the store, under yield improvements, you can use a sprayer to put down liquid fertilizer. They also work for herbicide, which is what we're about to talk about to get rid of the weeds. You can use a manure spreader to spread manure. You can use a solid fertilizer spreader, any of these. The same one that does the lime that we talked about earlier also does fertilizer. You also use a slurry tank to spread slurry or digestate. I'm not going to go into super big details about all these different things and how you get those different materials, but those will be in all future videos, so just be aware of that. But now we need to take care of our weeds. A couple ways you can do this. You can either use a sprayer, which I think is the simplest way to do it because a sprayer will kill small, medium, and large weeds. You also can use a weeder. So you have to be careful, though. This one says it only take care of small grown weeds. This one's medium, and the rest of these are all small weeds. So be aware of that. How can we tell what kind of weeds we have? Well, we can go up to the field, and down in the bottom right-hand corner, if we have field info activated, it'll say, well, we have small weeds in there. It says weed and then small. So we have to kill those off. Otherwise, it will hurt our yield a little bit, which we don't want to do. We want to get the best possible yield. So I have a sprayer here with some herbicide in the back. So all I'm going to do is unfold the sprayer, come over to the field after it's unfolded, and I'm going to activate it to go ahead and start killing off some of these weeds. So we'll give it a second here to unfold, and that's going to deal with this part of the field care. And this is actually the last part of the field care. The next thing we have to do is just kind of wait for harvest to happen. So we can start killing the weeds off here, which is great. You can see it's killing them off. And if you also go into the menu here, we can deactivate that. You'll be able to see, where are we at here? Weeds. You'll be able to see the weeds that are growing on there, and you can see that's the ones that we have killed off, which is great. So that's what we want. We don't want the green on there for weeds. Now, you also can turn off the weeds if you'd like to. If you go into the actual settings of the game, down here under game settings, you can disable weeds if you'd like to just not deal with them. So just be aware of that, but we have them on here, so we're going to go ahead and deal with them. I'll finish dealing with these weeds. I'll finish spraying them all off, and then I'll bring you guys back in when it's time to harvest our peas. All right, our peas are ready to harvest. You can see right there down the bottom right-hand corner, it says ready to harvest. And if we go into the menu, if we go up to the map here, you can see that this is the ready to harvest state right here for our field. Now, I should also note as well, as your peas are growing up, let's see if there's anything out here that's green. Nope, nothing is growing up, but they will be a green shade to start out, and they'll slowly get darker as they are getting closer to ready to harvest. So the darker the green, the closer they are to harvest, and then when it goes orange, they're ready to harvest. Now, harvesting peas does require a specialized header, or excuse me, a specialized harvester. If we go into the store here, we can scroll down. You have to get this guy right here, the pea harvester. This will hold 3,700 liters of crop, has 3.8 meter working width, and is what is required to harvest your peas. So just be aware of that investment, but we'll start it up. We'll go ahead and get it unfolded here as well. Actually, nope, this thing doesn't need to be unfolded. Never mind. I was just kidding about that. No, but anyhow, we'll just come to our field, lower it down, and again, you can hire a worker to do this as well. You just lower it down and hit B to turn it on, and we are officially harvesting some peas. Now, we'll take it a second to start registering those because they have to go through the machine. That's why you'll notice if we stop, the numbers are still going up there for our peas down there in terms of liters of peas. They'll still go up for a little bit because they're a little bit delayed on that. But yeah, you just want to get your peas harvested here. And then obviously after the harvest is done, you just have to wait until you rinse and repeat the system. Now, one thing I should have noted actually with planting is seasonal growth. Right now I have it set so I can plant and harvest things whenever I would like to. But if you go into the game settings and you turn seasonal growth to yes, you can only plant and harvest things at a certain time. So if we go down to peas down here, you can only plant them in March and April and only harvest them July through September. And if you wait till after September, they will become withered, which they shouldn't be withered for me because I just changed the setting there. But that is what you have to be aware of there. Also make sure this isn't set to pause because nothing will grow at all. So you want either no or yes for seasonal growth. All right, now that we have some peas, well, what can we do with them? Well, we can put our pipe out and we can unload them to any truck, kind of like the international truck or any bulk trailer. You can really unload them, honestly, into just about anything. So if we go up here, any one of these trailers in here is going to do the trick for you in terms of holding peas and transporting them. But you'll notice we can't, usually you can hit left control I to dump stuff on the ground. Can't do that. Silos don't take them, nothing like that. They won't go bad, so you can leave them in your harvester or your trailer, but there's no way in base game to store these. So typically, and I already have a load of peas over here just for the convenience sake. Typically, what you can do is either put them in a production, which I'm not going to get into the details of productions in terms of this video because there's a lot to it when it comes to productions, but you can put them in a production facility to process them further, or you can take them to sell. Now, you need to find a place that's actually going to take them as a sell point. So if we go in here, we need to find peas in here, which let's go down. There we are, peas right here. So here's all the sell points and the prices that they're taking them for. We can look in here. I'm going to go to the farmer's market because it's closest to me. And if you didn't know where that place was, you can hit tag. It'll show you on the map there. You can see straight ahead over there. It's 90 meters from me, or about 360 feet. And if it was further away, you could go on here and you'll be able to find it flashing like that on the map. I'm going to go ahead and untag it though. And we're going to drive over there and you just have to tip the peas in. And that is how you're going to get your money for your pea harvest, which is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. So we'll go over here. We will drive across the cell grate here. Boom, just like that. Hit I to unload. It will start dropping off the peas in there. You can see our money's going up in the upper right-hand corner. And you get a decent amount of money for peas. So for a little truckload like that, we got 7,200 bucks. They are a low yielding crop, but you typically get a good amount for when you sell them. So there you guys go. That is everything that you need to know about peas in Farming Simulator 25. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.